Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Entrepreneurial Marketing, Getting to Market. We were talking about listening to the customer very extensively and adapting business models because you listen to the customers and so on. If you look into the literature, there's a concept of the so-called market orientation. And market orientation is also, to some extent, listening to the customer, using that information in the right way. So if you, as a startup, develop your first steps and you listen to the customer, it's totally fine. If you want to institutionalize that further when you grow your company, then you can use market orientation to institutionalize that. However, you again have to adapt that concept from established marketing to your entrepreneurial firm, at least a little bit. So start with an example again, and you know that example, Apple Newton versus the Palm PDA, who was successful, who listened to the market carefully. Well, we know that the Palm people, they went to the customers, they asked the customers who bought the first product, why did you buy? They found out that people bought because they wanted to organize the calendar and the address book. And this is market orientation. This is, you generate information from the market, but then you have to disseminate that in your company and if you use it properly. And this is basically what market orientation is about. So let's look further into that. First of all, from the definition side, market orientation in general refers to the implementation of the marketing concept, and you have basically two concepts of market orientation, the one by Koliawarsky from the 90s and the other one by Norris later, developed at the very same time. It's defined as an organization-wide generation of market intelligence pertaining to current and future customer need, dissemination of intelligence, and then organization-wide responsiveness to it. And very important is, it's not only you as the entrepreneur listening to the customers, calling the customers, which you have to do at the very beginning. Now it's an organization-wide concept, an idea for your entire organization to maintain market-oriented over time. Because only if you follow the customer also over time, you will remain successful. So what are the three steps of that concept? Well, the first step is you generate the right information, you generate market intelligence. Second step is, that the first one, second step is you disseminate the information. And the third step is you respond in the right way to what you've heard in changing, designing your products. Let's go further into the three steps and have a look on what you as an entrepreneur especially should do. And there you'll also see that this process for entrepreneurial firms is not as institutionalized as you will see that in established firms. Because what you do is, in the first step, when you generate market intelligence, the first and the most important thing is you discuss customers about their needs, which is asking the reason why question. You can read it, maybe, you know, it's the reason why question. That's the most important question. But if more people than only you as the entrepreneur do that, you can also ask the other people in your company. So basically, in your company, someone has talked to the customer, someone else has talked to the customer. Why don't you talk to those who also work in the same company? You can also talk to influencers who might be better in putting information about customers together, or industry information might also help you. But that's the first step. So this is how you generate the right information. Then secondly, you have to disseminate this information. You have to get it to the right place, basically. And this is a very informal thing in your company. It's hall talk, it's meetings you have, it's not really institutionalized. You might institutionalize in this in further years in the marketing plan. If you look at the concept, basically, it's a very informal thing to disseminate the information due to the smallness of your company. If your company is just a couple of people, everybody knows what the others think, and this is easy to disseminate the right information there. But then you have, and that's the third step of market orientation, you have to respond to that in the right way. And this is implementation, and ideally quick implementation of what you heard. And as a startup, and remember the liability of newness means you have the disadvantage, you have to build everything newly. However, you have the advantage of being more flexible, because you might change processes more often than established firms who have running processes for years and years. So you can basically take the information you have, disseminate, respond in the right way. This is no rocket science in general. However, maybe it's worth looking at, well, actually 3 mistakes entrepreneurs could do, big pitfalls some entrepreneurs run into when they adapt it, and then it gets more complicated. The first question you might ask yourself about your own market orientation, if this what you do is obvious to the market. Sometimes companies are so product-centered that they become so internally focused that they cannot see clearly what the market wants. And the Apple Newton could be an example for that, because they were internally focused when they brought the second product on the market. Maybe even these companies were market-driven once when they started, but they weren't able to maintain their position. So this is the first pitfall you can run in. So this is why market orientation, and to have that general idea of we as a company have an organization-wide market orientation, is so important. The second pitfall you can run in is you're compelled by the market. It's an overreaction to an internal focus. These companies bend over backwards to do whatever customers want. So it's listening to the customers too much. And we talk about that when we talk about product development further, because it keeps you away from standardization. But sometimes customers can make you very, very nervous. And actually, my own experience, in my first company we started, and it was New Economy, when we started introducing our services. Service was for free. Many New Economy companies did that. But then we had to introduce a business model, so we had to make someone pay. So we want to make someone pay. We introduced our payment scheme, and all these customers said, no, we're going to leave your platform by then. Of the 100% of the customers who had to pay afterwards, only 2% left our platform by then. You see, listening to the customers is important. Maybe you learn something for your payment scheme. However, sometimes customers don't tell you the truth. And this is why you have to be really careful in not overreacting to that. And that could be also a mistake. So you have to react on the one side, but you don't have to overreact. And this is really a small path sometimes. And the third mistake you can run into concerning market orientation, you think you're superior to the market. These are the companies who ignore the customers, who say our product is so good because it's so tech-driven and technology is so good that we do not have to listen to the customer. Customers will buy anytime. And when it comes to those companies, you will easily see that they probably won't be successful at the very first moment. Sometimes it's good to ignore some customers, especially maybe the non-profitable customers. However, as we said from the very beginning, you have to change your focus from your own innovation into the customer's view. That's always important for every entrepreneurial firm. And that's also why market orientation is important. However, when you start your company, you have a more natural market orientation because you, as the entrepreneur, you listen to the customer and you will always do that. When you start introducing the more organization-wide market orientation, you look at what I've presented before and you might want to institutionalize some of these things. And when your company grows, you have to institutionalize even more. And this is how natural market orientation goes back over the years, plays a less important role, and institutional market orientation gets more important. So with all I've said before, if you start your company, it's important to listen to customers, ask the question, the reason why question. If you grow your company, then it gets more and more important to institutionalize some kind of market orientation as you've seen before.